Hi everyone, I'm Kim with Abundant Life Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we are talking about myths surrounding deck collecting, collecting decks, collecting Oracle, Tarot, Lenormand, all the decks. Okay, so we are talking about that today. I typically do my discussions that are a part of my Choosing Your Next Deck, Curating Your Collection course. It's a free course on my website. I usually like to do it on Zoom, but live stream is easier for me. And so I wanted to do this because I have some additional points, additional thoughts to say about myths surrounding debt collecting. It's a mouthful. And when I created the course, what is it now, a couple of years ago now, I was certainly collecting decks then, but I've evolved since the last time I discussed this topic, right? Um, I've moved, I've sold a lot of decks, I've procured and sold a lot more, and I have a collection of decks, so I am now a little more seasoned in this experience. So it's just a conversation. I might breeze through the bullet points because a lot of them are covered already in the videos or the video modules of the Choosing Your Next Deck Curating Your Collection course. So now we are going to bring that up here. We're going to bring it up and chit chat about it for a minute. So, like I mentioned before, I have a course on my website at abundantlifeshop.com. It is free. It is the Choosing Your Next Deck, Curating Your Collection. And this lesson is derived from the course. So, what I like to do for each of the lessons, I like to do a lesson or a lecture or a discussion following it, and to keep you all engaged in finishing your coursework. And also to let new students know about it, new people who are either new to collecting their decks or they're feeling a certain way about the collection they have, all of that good stuff. So, hello, how are you? Thank you. I am just doing a little Zoom here on myths surrounding deck collecting. How are you doing, my friend? I'm glad you're here. Tarot token witchery thing. Okay, so let's get on to it. Let's get to it. So, remembering the moon phases of collecting. I believe I touched upon this in the course, right? And I wish I can make this bigger. I like to think of our collecting habits to that of moon phases. And I only put 4 moon phases. Okay. I know there's more. But the new moon phase, that is the new to collecting or renewed interest in collecting decks. Okay, so that's that new moon phase energy, the new frontier. Maybe you don't have a deck yet. Maybe you had decks and you sold them and now you're coming back to collecting. So there's that new phase, right? Then you have the waxing moon phase. That's the acquisition phase. That's when you're acquiring the decks. You're getting them as, taking them all in, probably rarely selling them at this point, probably rarely trading decks at this point. You could be, but you're for sure in an acquiring engagement of your collection. Hello, Myrna. Thank you and welcome. Welcome, welcome. One of my Ko-fi members. Oh my goodness, you guys are near and dear to my heart. We just formed a private Facebook group that's just amongst us members over from my Ko-fi membership. So I have lots of plans for us over there. Hey, Andy, thank you for joining another one of my beloved Ko-fi members. I'm so thankful to all of you. Okay, so the full moon part of your collection experience is a full grown collection. It is full of decks. Um, you might be here or there trading decks, selling them, but just as you're selling them, you're procuring a new deck. So it's kind of a wash, right? But you're feeling pretty satiated. You're feeling pretty good about your full collection, the full moon phase of your collecting. Well, hello, Jonathan. Welcome. Aloha. I think I'm doing that right. Hi, my friend, another Kobe member. Welcome, Indigo Key Oracle. All of these great peeps, probably with the exception of one, has a channel. And I'm, I subscribe to all the channels of these great people. So just so you know, if you're watching the live chat and you see these names on the side, just know they have great channels and you need to check them all out. Okay, so I also mentioned here, I know that there are more than 4 moon phases, because there are. Now, this is, one second, you all. I'm going to move this for a moment. So I see that StreamYard allows me to share, like to import the spread or the slideshow from Google directly, but I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling the way it's doing. So I'm gonna remove that from Studio. And now we're gonna go back. Let's go back here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so now we're gonna get into these here myths surrounding deck collecting. Okay, and there's several, and I'm sure you can think of some myths. Some ones we've heard all the time, some new ones, some old ones. So please share with me in the chat as well as in the comment section if you're watching the replay. Let me know of some myths surrounding procuring decks, collecting decks, managing your collection, all of that stuff that I didn't cover today or that I need to talk about now while we're together. So, but I got mine. I got mine here, I should say. Okay, so we're going to get some of the easy peasy myths right out the way. And then the ones towards the end, mid to end, are ones that I added to this discussion for today's presentation. So the first one is never. You've probably heard that before. I don't know where it came from. I tried to find the origins of it. Like all I could tell was that it was like an old wives' tale that says that you, and I know that there must be some historical references to why there is some notion that you must not buy your own decks or that they must be gifted to you. I think that's another myth on here that I have. But I've always been a rule breaker myself. So I didn't care about this rule because I was like, who better than me to pick out my own decks? I've been blessed with folks who have gifted me decks that I ended up loving. And then there was times where decks were gifted to me or not donated, but, given to me or what have you, passed along to me that I wasn't really feeling. So I know me best. And even when you know yourself the best, you still kind of have misses when you buy it, like you miss the mark when you buy decks. So I don't know. I don't know where it came from. Maybe you all know. Maybe you can put it in the chat or in the comments. Where did this come from? This never buy your own decks business. It's a myth. If you're new to collecting or new to reading the cards, reading tarot, trust your girl here, Ken, from Abundant Life Tarot. You don't need to buy it. You don't have to worry about if your first deck is one you bought. Actually, it's probably going to be your best one. And so then we move on to someone else needs to gift you your deck. If I waited around for someone to gift me a deck, well, I would probably be waiting a very long time. And nobody's trying to sit up here and wait. Again, a wives' tale I'm picking up on. I don't know, I don't know where it came from. Don't know where it came from. Hello, hi, Joe. Oh my goodness, in the Caribbean. We're in the Caribbean together. Welcome. Hi from Jamaica. Ooh, I'm going to actually come visit your country very soon. Hey, Kristen Louise, welcome. How are you? So yeah, all this business of somebody needs to gift you your decks. No. Um, Point to me in some spiritual world or realm. Like there's a lot of shoulds about what you should do, what you shouldn't do, what you are allowed to read the cards about, what you're not allowed to. Mm-mm. We only got one life to live. And yes, you want to be respectful of certain traditions and such. You want to, be mindful. But in my research for this lesson, I couldn't find anything definitively to share with you all that is worthwhile sharing other than this is just another myth to collecting. Hey, Ange, how are you? Oh my goodness. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I'm so happy you're here because I like talking about deck collecting. I do. I do have a collection. Um, right now, what I've been collecting is decks to support my disappearance type readings, those mystery mystic readings that I do. But and then I got my new one, the Points of View Oracle, that we did a little joint unboxing. Not joint, but we're supposed to be doing a joint unboxing. Remember that? That's from a few lives back. But it's rare that I'm just buying a deck like that's for general use. It usually has something very specific that I'm working with or working the type of readings that I'm doing. And I am a reader. I am a collector. I'm a collector, but I'm also a reader most importantly. So my decks have to be tools that I can work with, and it has to make sense for them to come into my collection. Because even though I have a designated reading space, I don't want it all the way cluttered and filled up with decks. So there's that. So the next myth, decks require fancy wraps, boxes, or bags or boxes. Now, here's the thing. I do like buying fancy bags or friends making bags for my tarot and my oracle decks, and I'm into it. But it's not required. I know that there was a time where it's like you should have your decks placed in a satin, cloth or something, some material. Again, enlighten me, enlighten me if that's really a necessity. To me, it's not. If anything, when I'm thinking about bags and I'm thinking about boxes and wraps, it's really to keep the deck protected. Yeah, I want something pretty because it's almost like little outfits for my decks because I am one of those people that kind of personify my decks. But it's to the main focus is to keep them all together nicely and so protected, that the bags are washable or easy to clean because that is important, especially I live in the tropics, so things get a little bit humid here, and I want to, not frequently wash them, but periodically wash them. So it needs to make sense to me. But in terms of like trying to keep spirits off the deck or try to keep what's in the deck, which I don't really buy into, like, oh, the deck is like embodied as like a spirit form. No, we are the channels and the conduits, and it's our tool. And nor do I buy into, oh, well, I need to protect it from other people's energies and things like that. I feel like energy is energy. It's going to make its way to wherever because here we are, being a little attractor of energy from whoever, whether it's high vibing energy or low vibing energy. And it's up to us to protect our energetic fields, but not the deck itself. Do I like to keep my decks stored behind closed doors? I do, preferably because I just don't want my decks all hanging out. And then there's sometimes people's kids that come over and they like my room because it looks very like, oh, it looks like somewhere you could play, but really it's not. And then they just must instantly go after my deck. So it's nice that the doors are closed to my shelves. I digress. So next myth is expensive decks equals high quality product or a high quality reading experience. I do have some expensive decks, no lie, I do. Does that automatically equate to them being high quality? No. I have decks that, and I could do a video on it. I have very expensive decks that are not high quality in the sense that, oh, they completely avoid chipping of the paint, as a paint or the picture off the card, or the gilding or the edging is pristine always. It's not going to guarantee you that. When you're thinking about cost for a deck, for me, it's like I'm thinking more so in the collector's mind of the rarity of this deck. And what I mean by rarity, when it goes out of print, what is the likelihood of it being reprinted? Will this deck be going mass market at some point? If not, is this something I really want to add to my collection? So it's just when I'm about to make a huge investment into an expensive deck, I give it some consideration and I think on it. I mull over it. I do my spreads that I've created for the course. I have a deck interview spread that is before you even bring a deck into your collection. You're interviewing, like I would take the Lightseers Tarot, my, home girl, like my home girl deck, and I'm going to use that deck and consult with my deck or consult with some of my near and dear decks. Is this a new deck that we should bring into the fold? Especially if it's an expensive deck. And I'll ask questions of that spread like, how will I feel about that purchase 12 months from now? How will I work with it, and in what way will I work with it? So before I even bring the deck in, I'm consulting my other decks, or I'm consulting Spirit to get some clarity on what is it that I'm really after. But expensive decks, all that to say, yeah, in most instances, you can expect a higher quality product, but is it guaranteed? It's not guaranteed. And high quality means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I am very much after shuffleability. I riffle shuffle, I overhand shuffle as a part of my reading style. So with that, I need a deck that's going to have some flexibility. That's why I like make playing cards stock, because I can riffle shuffle and overhand shuffle easily, okay? And I'm getting my jumping cards. And I don't know. A reading experience. Some people probably feel like they do read a lot better with a very expensive deck that they spent $100 or more on. But I've had incredible reading experiences with very inexpensive decks, what some people call low quality decks. So there's that. Oops. So now we move on to inexpensive decks equals poor quality product or reading experience. So, oh, I love it. Oh, look, I got my new peeps in here. Let me see. Let me back up. Thank you. Yes, please hit the like button. I appreciate you, my friend Keith. Thank you so much for mentioning that. Oh, thank you, Ange. I'm taking up people's offers to help with modding because I'm like, it's hard for me to keep track. And I should know this by now. I've been doing quite a few live streams. I should know this, but I hate to impose. But if people volunteer so kindly, I probably would take you up on that offer. So let's see. Yes, thank you. You are welcome. Hi, my friend. Welcome. Look at all my peeps who are here. Look at you guys, my Kofi members. If you need help, thank you. I'm just saving your comment there. I seriously don't like rules. I hate rules. And that's my Aquarian rebel soul. I don't like I don't like when somebody tells me. That's probably why I didn't fit very well into the Christian religion, because I was like, mm. It's not even so much like the tenets of the religion that I had a problem with. It was like, oh, you gonna tell me how to feel today and how to be today? Oh, that ain't gonna work. So same with my card collecting, my card practices, my spirituality, my brand of spirituality. I don't like rules either. Yes. Yeah. And myths, that's the thing about myths. Where do they really originate from? Where do they really come from? And so it's like the, what is it, the base word myths, mystic, tarot, and stuff like that. It's easy to then just kind of have it shrouded in all these things that you should and shouldn't do. And nobody really questioned it like for years and years, and decades and centuries and stuff, until finally it's like, here we are in 2022, like, mm-mm. Bags being outfits for your decks. Yes. Oh, I love that. I know. It's like I'm such a goof nugget for that. But that's how I feel. And so I have a special connection with the decks that have little outfits, because that means I've been thinking about them. I'm going to use them a lot. They need to be in their little bags, their little outfits. This is just so bad. I'm like, I recently heard people chatting about whether or not they allow electronics, phones near their decks. Do any of you feel that electronic waves mess with the energy of decks? And that is actually a good point. Now, I don't know, because honestly, as someone who does virtual readings a lot, whether it's Zoom, whether it's I'm recording with my phone, like the audio or like the video, and I'm doing a reading. The cards are pretty close and near to those devices anyway. So it's like, if that's the case, then I don't know. I guess I'm also, even though I bought a lot of selenite and I put it everywhere in my old house, because I was like, oh, I need to, like, we've got a lot of electronics here. I got to protect our, like, energy. But then at the core of my being, I don't even know if I believe in it. So, again, there I go, like saying craziness. But it was like, oh, it sounded great to buy all this selenite and make sure we're like, doing what we need to do to protect our energy fields and protect our health. But I was like, we're already exposed. What's done is done. Name brand tarot, I like that. Yeah, name brand. It's like, yeah, like, oh, I got this from, I don't know, Bloomingdale's, or I don't know, what's high end, Neiman Marcus. I don't shop at those spots, so I don't know. Hi, how are you? Welcome, welcome. I'm happy you are here. Bougie, yes, another one. And there's a whole bougie crowd of folks who are like, I will never buy mass market. Or I will never, deal with that kind of cardstock. And I'm just like, if I can shuffle you, if I like your images, we gonna get along. So that's right. Yay. Yes. Oh my goodness. So I always be mentioning these spreads, and I'm like, I gotta figure out a way to either show you all, maybe before we wrap up, if I get through my little myths list, I'll show you here, or I could just link it in the description box, or I can pin it to our Facebook group. It's in the course, lesson 10. And so since it's free, you would be able to go look at lesson 10, all the spreads that I've made for the support of choosing your next deck, curating your collection. They're all on lesson 10 because I put all the spreads there. But I will, and I always forget this. I'm like, where's my pen? Why am I not remembering to just have it ready? Add spreads. I like doing that spread because what I do when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna add this deck. First, I have my wish list spreadsheet. You all know me in spreadsheets. So I'll say, okay, I really like this deck. This is what I'm gonna put on my spreadsheet. So I put it on my spreadsheet, and I have a column on that spreadsheet that says, did I do my interview spread yet? Yes or no? And if no, I need to do that before I make the investment of the deck. And if I hit yes, I have snapped a picture of the spread and copied it and put it at the bottom of that spreadsheet on my deck wish list. And I labeled the picture, like, I think Tarot of Curious Creatures comes to mind, right? Because that's the one I kept hemming and hawing about. Like, I should buy it because I have all of Chris Ann's decks, both indie and mass market. So I should have the Tarot of Curious Creatures. But then I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to work with it. So I did a spread. And it gave me a realistic feel of how I'm going to probably work with it. It's probably not going to be much, but you're going to really like it. You're going to, there's going to be other reasons why you got that deck. So there's a method to my little madness. But let me tell you, I don't buy many decks anymore, and I'm happy. I'm at the full moon phase of my collecting habits, the full moon phase. We talked about it before you all came into the room. The acquisition, or the moon phases that are likened to our phases in collecting decks. I'll circle back to that in a moment. I wish there was a way I could just do it. And let me know, what phase are you in your collecting journey? And it will fluctuate, it will change. And some people, they get to the waning moon and then they're done with collecting decks, period. They sell their whole collection. They are done. They are not really working with cards anymore. Their spirituality has evolved. Me, it just seems like I go deeper and deeper and deeper into loving cards. So I feel very much like I'm at a full moon, a full-grown collection. There was a time I was heavily into the waxing moon phase of my collecting journey, especially between 2017 to maybe 2019. Then I did my depth year in 2020. Depth year meaning I abstained from really trying to buy new decks and crystals and books and stuff like that. But I'm not, I did my waning moon, I did dip into I did go there with depth year and shrinking my collection. I had to shrink it because I was going to ship a lot of decks from California to the Dominican Republic. So, but I feel like I'm very much right now in a full moon phase of my collection. So now we're going to go back to where we were. As I thought. So we were talking about inexpensive decks equals poor quality or poor product quality or poor reading experience. And I already touched upon that. I feel like sometimes I've had my best reading experiences with decks that are low cost, mass market even, make playing cards, love. I have some of my best reading experiences. And so if it becomes a working deck and it's low cost and I know I can get it at, like I could say, okay, this is mass market. I don't foresee it going out of print anytime soon. I'll just buy another one if I blow through it and I tear it up to smithereens, like with all my crazy shuffling. That's how I feel about it, but I'm curious to hear what you all think. And there's no judgment. If you are that one, and I feel bad, I'm all like, oh, the deck snobs or cardstock snobs. But honestly, there was a time I probably was a little snobbish. Like I was like, oh, I only buy indie decks. Well, no, I'm glad that I've evolved from there. I am so glad my wallet is glad I evolved from that. So yes. You all need to check out Indigo Key Oracle's channel because, well, I'm hooked. So yes, she's got a new channel. I love supporting all my content creator friends. Well, hello, Steffi Muse. Welcome. Thank you for joining. I'm happy you're here. Indie deck doesn't mean quality. And we probably have examples, right? I'm sure we all have examples in our collection whether you have 20 decks or 2,000 decks, where you spend a pretty penny, like, and maybe you waited a couple of years for that deck to even be produced, and then you get it, and then you're like, oh man, I'm chipping it all over the place. Now I don't even want to use it. So it kind of becomes a little problematic, you know. So I don't know. Let's see. But my experience, most of my indie decks are a higher quality. Yes, that's true. I mean, the other night I used the Moonchild Tarot. I should get it out and show you all. But I used the Moonchild, and I was just so impressed with the quality of it. I was really impressed. And I hadn't used that deck in a long time. And to use it and remember, like, oh, this is why you invest a little bit in your deck shopping experience. And that's the collector in me. Now, there's certain card stocks that come with more expensive that I just can't even. I can't shuffle. I can't, babying them. Like I'm more, because I know it's out of print, and the creators already said they probably aren't going to reprint. So I just keep it on the shelf because that's the collector in me. But the tarot reader in me is looking for a deck that I'm not going to feel bad about using, that is going to shuffle easily. So, but you're right. There are some instances where it's like the Dust to Onyx, high quality, through and through, guidebook, deck, gilding, colors, or, what's that, soft petally. I'm at a loss for the cardstock qualities now, the little attributes. Let's see, yes. So I love watching her reading style. What's cool about Indigo Key Oracle is that and I've started watching other channels too, where they make their own reading cards, their own Oracle cards, their own cards. Yes, I made mine on my Make Plain Cards thing, like with stock images, but no, they hand draw them, they write out the keywords, and hers are cool because her Oracle decks, because she has it like laminated in this thick laminated stock. I know that probably was, I think you mentioned too, that it was kind of painstaking to put it all together to create them. But to me, it's just like the finished product is amazing. And you can tell like you intimately know your decks. You intimately know them. So I'm hooked. I love your reading style. I just adore. Well, hello, Patrice. How are you and Bernetta doing today? I'm so happy you are here. Yes. Yeah, that's true with most of my indie decks. Indeed. As big signs, rebels naturally, I know. Like, I just love being a little rebel spirit until I get in trouble. And then it's like, oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh yes. You're in for a treat. I just settle on in and just listen as I'm laying down after a hard day's work. Okay, I'm just catching up on my comments here. Yes, you are. Please use it. So I'm not the only goof nugget who's using it, right? Or you'd be like, you're such a goof nugget. Yes, it's all about intention. I put up blocks before reading. Keep Oregon. Yes. I do have a lot of selenite. I do love selenite. My favorite Oregon. Let's see. Good nuggets. I know. I'm just like, and I can't claim it. I'm sure I heard it somewhere, and I was like, oh, I got it. I love it. That's gonna be my new phrase now. I don't feel they affect the energy of my deck. They can affect me though, which may affect the reading perhaps. Yes, so that's how I look at it. Not so much like the deck itself, the tool itself, but me protecting my energetic, field, if you will. That's more how I look at it too. Yeah, that's true. right? It's what you believe. That's my whole thought philosophy about it. It's what you believe. So if it's what you believe, like, okay, this is gonna sound crazy and it is off topic, but do you guys remember when the earthquake happened in Japan? And I think I've talked about this before, but and then they had the tsunamis, and it was scary because I lived in California, and we share the Pacific Ocean, and then so what ended up happening was the tsunami came through, knocked down what is it, the nuclear power plants, and all this radioactive stuff went into the water. And I was like, and I love seafood. And so probably by the time it even happened, I probably had already consumed something that was just like radioactive. So I told myself, as opposed to like being all fearful, I was like, I think it's really cool. Like us near in the Pacific Ocean, we are now magical. We are radioactive. Like you can't mess with us. Like, so I tell myself that to console myself with to make sure I don't lose my mind over fears. Weird, I know. Hey, Ma, how are you? I know you're probably at work, aren't you? Because I seem to have this when you're at work. Yes, and I love how in our community we want to know each other's names. Main brand Terra equals Baba Studios. Exactly. Everybody's like, do you have a Baba Studios deck? Do you? Do you? I have two. I have two. I was blessed. Someone gifted me the Victorian Romantic. I've been starting to use that one again. But I was babying it. Not that you needed to, because I love the cardstock. Okay, hold on. Oh, come here. I love the cardstock of Ababa Studios. I need to get the Victorian Romantic because I love how it's got the gold inlay or whatever in the actual cards. But I love the size of this. You can't even see it. Let me stop sharing for a minute. I like the little handy box, the little guidebook that fits in there. All these little details matter to me. This is the third edition. I am kind of a snob when it comes to knowing the editions of my indie or my indie decks. I'm like, oh, it's a first edition, or this was third edition, but I sought it out. Out of all of the editions, I like the cardstock or the card backs of the Bohemian Gothic. It was. Did I like the second? No, I just like these. It's just nice and handy. Nice and handy. I know it's not. I know this deck is not everybody's cup of tea. It's my cup of tea, and for me it reads really well. I've actually had a couple of clients ask. They know I have it in my collection. They've asked me to read with it. Look at Judgment. Look at that. I like the mood of this deck. Knight of Wands. You know, I got to show you all the deck while we discuss myths of deck collecting. Six of Swords. I love the Six of Swords. Tranquil Waters. So anyways, Baba Studios. So there is a little level of snobbery going on with me in deck collecting. Yes, I'm aware of the bougie gang. Yes, I float in between groups. What is it? Oh, there's a term in high school when you can mix well with all the different the jocks, the nerds. Well, so I guess for me, the bougie crowd of deck collecting, the ones who are like all up in the mass market. I can hang with all of y'all. Key. Yay. Let me see. Ange says Baba Studios is mega. Yeah, and like even the creators has this air of I almost feel like they're like Gucci. Gucci of the decks, like, like the designers who work for Gucci, they'll have this certain air about them. I don't know. I see that you have made your own deck. I just peeked at your channel. I love that. Don't you just love that? I love that, and I crave that. I love seeing people work with their decks right now. That's where I'm at. Like, even those who do readings for other people, I don't usually be like, oh, give me a reading. Every now and then I'm like, okay, I'll get a reading. But I just like watching other people read and work with the cards. So, and then when you made your own, I'm hooked. Hooked. I'm laughing out. Baba Studios is like buying an $82 scented candle instead of tea lights. Yes, it is. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Have I? Ooh. I think the most I've spent on a candle is like $30, like a scented candle. I've heard you can spend a lot more, but that was the most I would allow myself to spend. Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm telling you the truth, but it's so true. Like, oh. Yeah, it's definitely just the connecting process of your own keywords, your own images of what you were drawn to either add to your deck or draw. Just so amazing. About affecting our energy, yes, and therefore can leak into the reading. So yeah, I totally believe that. And that does help us a little bit in our understanding of it. It's like it's really about protecting our energy, our spiritual energy, our mental energy, our emotional, physical, our space. It's all a part of that makes us happy, healthy readers. Ooh, yes, Jonathan, thank you. I'm between waxing and full, leaning towards full. Yeah, yeah. I think I'm full, leaning towards waning. But if I'm waning, I have to wait until I go back to the States to take my decks to sell or gift back. Because I don't know too many. I know one or two ladies who would inherit some out here, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm definitely in the new moon. Yes, yes. I love being around folks who are in their new moon phase of collecting because I get energized off of them. And then whatever you're procuring, like if you get a deck that I don't have, but I've been curious about, I can vicariously live through you. And so, yeah, I love it. And it feels good to just kind of take a stake and a claim into where we're actually at. And to understand it can be fluid for many of us, you know? So, MA the gray. Yes, people are doing way too much. I'm more of a practical person. Keep it simple. Yes. Keep it simple is where it's really at. Hey, Nomi. Oh my goodness. How are you? I'm so happy you are here. It's like been forever. We have lots to catch up on. Renewed. Okay, renewed. So moon to waxing at the moment. Okay, renewed. I like that. So you've got a renewed energy, a renewed look, or like love, a renewed love of deck collecting. So you're at the new moon to waxing at the moment. So Naomi, we're just, and for anyone who's joining or watching the replay or what have you, we're talking about what moon phase are we in our collecting. And so like Jonathan is at the full moon leaning towards, was it waxing? And I'm full moon leaning towards waning. But it can fluctuate. Yes, thank you. Please hit the like button. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. I love to, hang out with you all and chat with you both, live videos, the community tab posts, all of that. And then also check out all these great channels and the people in my chat, because you will not be disappointed. Looking forward to watching this one from the beginning. Yes, we are having fun, and I need to get back to our list because I just all the way just fell off topic. I'm between waxy moon and full moon. So many decks that are tempting. Just received the Queer Tarot. How do you like it? How do you like it? And it's beautiful, but seriously, I hope to get the full moon phase eventually. So, like the cardstock, I've only seen people's thumbnails. I haven't watched videos yet to see how people are getting along with the Queer Tarot, but I see that many people have got their hands on it, so that must mean something. It must mean something. All right. I get more energy. Oh yeah. That's why even the ones I made playing cards with the stock images with my own keywords, I feel much more connected to than any oracle deck I could have. So my professional client readings, I'm using the decks that I've made primarily. I mean, except for Power of Surrender, which is a Hay House deck, or the Career and Money Oracle, this one. I'm using the ones that I made because I have a connection with them. They were keywords that came off of my little mind and spirit. I will make oracle cards with construction paper. Yes. You know what I'm saying? And I tell people with index cards, do what you need to do to get your cards. Okay? That's how I feel. Construction paper, when you love cartomancy, you find a way. I am absolutely making my own homemade deck. So looking forward to that connection. Yes, I can just imagine. All right. So yes. You know what? There's something to be said about that, Patrice, about supporting. And I think that's another reason why I was like, I am only going to purchase or back indie decks because I know that this creator is doing this all on their own, and it's a labor of love because they're not going to make oodles of money off of their creations. They're actually gifting us something so amazing. So I love supporting them, the artist, the creator, the writer, in the process. So that also is something that will always keep me peeking in, looking around in Facebook groups, going on Kickstarter from time to time, looking at Etsy, seeing if I can find that deck creator, or maybe on Instagram when I'm on there, finding a deck creator I can support. So that there is something to definitely be said about that. Yes, we might need to just make that a project for either the Facebook group or my Ko-fi members. Yeah, it's just so, yeah, I can just imagine. But I need mine's laminated hard like keys. I have about a 50-50 blend of indie and mass market, and I won't pick a favorite child. Thank you. Emmy has a new channel as well. Check it out. I agree. I have a nice, healthy balance of indie and mass market. And when, how when they come out with tag videos where they're like, okay, you got to pick your top 5 or top 10 of all time, or you got to pick, or I don't want to pick because they're all my babies. So I guess I could be the ones that have little outfits, but yeah, that's right. Free will, no rules, creativity. I enjoy decks in general, all the decks. Just give me all the decks. Indie, mass market, playing cards, dollar store cards, right? Some of us were getting cards, decks from the Halloween store, the little pop-up store that happens all over the place each year. I forgot what they call Spirit Halloween store or whatever. Getting your decks there, making our decks. We just love all the decks. They are way too thick. I want to put way too much energy in. Yes, well, they look like they will withstand the test of time. So, oh, much love to you. I just finalized my interview for Tuesday. Christine Mallard, creator of the Elemental North Tarot will be joining. Oh, we will be supporting. I love how you all have been getting into interviewing each of you interviewed different parts or different people who are different parts of our larger card reading community, whether they're deck creators, whether they are readers, whether they are authors, I guess, or just content creators. Is so interesting. Oh, no, I'll try not to be self-conscious of my laugh. I can grab house items and come up with a reading. Hell yeah. I was living on Maui when that happened in the middle. Oh my gosh. So you're like right there, Jonathan. The nuclear active, radioactive soup. Oh, I'm in California, remember that, right? Like I was like literally trying to tell myself like, well, I'm not the only one who ate the fish. So we just radioactive over here. Ooh, okay. What's Baba Studios? I'm gonna take a peek. So it's like, and that's okay. I only own 2. And really, I only bought one and I was gifted another one. So it's like when people are comparing, deck quality, they're like, is it Baba Studios, like Cardstock? And so Alex Ukala and Kara Mahoney. Kara Mahoney writes the guidebooks, and then Alex does the art, I suppose. But this is a Baba Studios deck, the Bohemian Gothic. And so even when you go to the website, it just feels, I don't know, almost like it feels European and just feels bougie. Hi, Heather. Yes, everyone's at work but listening to me. I won't tell y'all secrets. All right, so I'm going to get back to, and how are you doing, my friend? Another great channel. Silver Star, I love the name Silver Star Priestess, right? I am neutral and have always been a floater. I cannot pigeonhole when you label. No. We, in our group of folk, we probably all are like that. Who's trying to, do not pigeonhole us. Yes. Thank you. I just got my Churro Marchetti Lenormand. I'm a closet bougie tech collector. So you're in the closet. Oh, let's see. I think the next video I'm going to make is about building a pop culture tarot deck in your brain instead of buying one. Oh, I need to watch that. That would be cool. And wouldn't that be cool? Your own brand, your own version of a pop culture tarot. And I bet you each of us, there would be similarities if we made our very own pop culture deck, but there would be various things that are just unique to your experience, of your take on pop culture. Oh, yay. Yep, because pop culture changes so much. All right, I'm going to now get back to my list because you know me. Okay. I'm going to go back to the comments, but okay, so heavy, thick cardstock makes the best card decks. I'm here to tell you, for me personally, no, it does not. What ends up inevitably happening, and I'm not with this deck so much, but I don't have one here at the moment. I guess, no. I end up having to shuffle, and I riffle shuffle. That is how I like to shuffle, get a good flow. But if it's a really thick cardstock, because as much as I did love working with the Moonchild Tarot the other night, I have to break it up into small sections to riffle shuffle it, or even to overhand shuffle it. You know, look at that. So there's that. And it bothers me immensely because I want to be able to take the whole deck. I want to take the whole deck and be able to riffle shuffle it all at one time to take the two sections and riffle shuffle them all at the same time. But when it's so thick, you can't even bend it. So that's a problem. But some people do not mind at all the heavier, thicker cardstock. I do, but that doesn't, listen, thick cardstock, I will tell you, doesn't necessarily make the best card decks. If it's like straight up like cardboard, or if it's like straight up, I don't know, just really difficult to handle. Like, especially if you read cards all the time, plus you type. Like when I was an analyst and I was doing readings at night, my wrists could be potentially blown to smithereens, like it just like tendonitis going on and carpal tunnel issues. The decks have to be gentle on these little wrists, okay? Thin cardstock equals bad quality deck. That's another myth. I like the thin cardstock because I like to riffle shuffle. I'm gonna riffle shuffle with you and put you back. But you know, some people are like, you know, thin cardstock is a deal breaker, but to me, I think it's a myth because a lot of times people think just because it's thin that it's not a good deck. But no, there's so many things that go into making a deck. There's so much that goes into making a great deck, and it's not just the cardstock. It's the images, it's the keywords if it's an oracle deck, or if you know the guidebook that's associated with the deck. There's so much that goes into it, but I personally love thin cardstock, and I think it's a sad myth that people think that it means it's a bad quality deck. That's what I think. Another myth is you have to read tarot or oracle in order to collect. Now, I actually know of people that don't really read the cards. They just collect decks and they prospect, and their main goal is looking for a deck that will give them a nice return on investment later down the line, and not way later down the line, like soon after they bought it. So you don't. I am a reader, so I'm a reader, but I'm also a collector. But I'm more reader than I am collector. Does that make sense? Make sure you guys can see that. Okay. Out of print decks, OOP, are difficult to come by. I've actually have little tips and tricks. And maybe I talk about them throughout my videos about different ways I have procured decks that were out of print. Whether you're just kind of hawking the marketplace on Facebook, or you're just kind of keeping your eyes. But if you live like I did in California, there's like always these metaphysical shops everywhere. There's Barnes and Nobles. There's all sorts of shops you can get decks at. I like to have my favorite little shops I went to see, do you have a deck that potentially might either be out of print or about to go out of print, and I'll get it. But they're not always difficult to come by. Like some of my most beloved and treasured decks that are out of print, they weren't difficult for me to come by. So I might have to do a video on that. I'm gonna have to do a video on that. Maybe just discuss the decks that I know that are out of print that I actually got fairly easy. Deck collecting is simple or materialistic? I'm gonna take a sip of water. First of all, if you ascribe to sin, or then everything is probably simple. Thinking is simple, you know. So no, it's a myth. But if you're probably messing with decks, whoever finds it simple finds everything that we do simple. And materialistic is probably more something that might stick a little more to me. Might make me feel a little like okay, you got me. Um, yeah, it can be a materialistic endeavor, no doubt. In order to buy decks, you have to have some level of income or some level of money coming in where you can buy these decks. Or maybe some people are, on a payment plan or a credit, they use a credit card. But nevertheless, I can see the argument of it being something of materialistic ways, that you are really overly into consumerism. And I think deep down inside, I was just getting to a point of I'm tired of acquiring. I was starting to really entering a waning phase of my collection at one point, and I didn't know what to do because I was getting addicted to the high of backing a deck, right? You back a deck, several months later, it's going, it's in production, it's getting made, and then the high of you seeing that it's been shipped and you're waiting for it to come to your door, the high of unboxing it and putting out a video for you all. I was getting stuck in that. So there is something to be said about that. And the only way I was able to kind of break away from that was when I did my 2020 death year. When I started the death year, I had no idea that the pandemic was coming. And so it was a really weird time for me as someone who loves decks to say, okay, I'm not going to be buying decks for 2020 when everybody was buying decks to self-soothe, right? I still got decks. People gifted me decks. Actually, that was when the Victorian Romantic was gifted to me, was in 2020 during my death year. So it wasn't like I was not getting any decks during that time. But beautiful things were born when I was like, I recognized my moon phase of collecting. I was in a full to waning phase, and it was just like, I don't know how to stop. So I did my death year, and the beautiful things that were born from that is that I was able to have a newer, healthier relationship with my deck collecting, and I created the Choosing Your Next Deck, Curating Your Course for folks who are collecting in their collecting journey. And yeah, so materialism, yeah, and there's an argument that it can be that, but just to say solely that collecting decks is materialistic, well, no, it's much more complicated than that. People buy things all the time. They buy coffee every day from Starbucks. They buy, I don't know, clothes and expensive shoes and watches and all sorts of things that people collect. And we just happen to really love decks. And so, I don't know, doesn't, as long as it's healthy. So just because you're a collector doesn't mean all you want to talk about are decks. I used to, especially when I was in my new moon to waxing phase of my deck collecting journey. I wanted to talk about the decks all the time, all the time. And now that I'm going more into my full moon to waning phase, I want to talk more about using the decks and how are other people using them and what are they doing with their decks and are they using their own handmade decks? And I'm really into that. So my love of cartomancy has deepened, but I don't talk about it all the time of collecting. But every now and then, like we're talking like right now, I want to talk about collecting decks. I want to show you my spreadsheets that I use to track all my decks because I still do that, y'all. I still track all my decks and where they came from, how much I spent. Did I sell them? I even keep a list of the decks now that I gifted or sold. That's how anal I am. But there, it's not like it was. I used to talk about decks on my channel all the time. I went through my YouTube channel and just started from the bottom and worked my way to the top to see what kind of content I was making over time. And I was like, oh God, like I'm always talking about decks, like unboxings. I went through a little smattering of doing readings for the collective by astrological signs, but it was heavy on the collecting decks and heavy on the unboxings for a while. So I don't know. I don't always want to talk about it, and neither do other collectors. Even if you're not always buying decks, doesn't mean you're a non-collector. You just might be in a particular phase in your collecting journey. So it's a myth to think that just because you're not buying decks right in this moment, that you're not really a collector. You probably still are a collector if, later on down the year, you buy yourself a deck. You're just not acquiring them as much or as fast as you used to when you were trying to grow your collection. A lot of times we don't even know that's what we're doing. We're just like, oh, I like this deck. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. And another reason why I created that course was so we could get more intentional about what we're really doing with our collection. So we're aware of what's going on. It's not to be like, oh, I'm judging you for buying all the decks, or, oh, it's time for you to have a deck here. It's very personal wherever you are. But I am still a collector just because I'm not having new decks come into my collection all the time. I bought like three new decks are coming, or came, one of the three. But I hadn't bought any decks for like 6 months. So November was the last time I bought some decks. I'm still a collector. So I have a collection of decks. I'm just not getting them every single day like I was. There was a time where, man, the UPS guy was meeting the FedEx guy, United States Postal Service, coming down the street in their little mail truck. And they're all crossing past it. It used to tickle my mom so much if she just because I used to also have decks coming to her house if I was worried, like it was an expensive deck. And I'm like, I'm going to be at work and I don't want to have this deck just be sitting out in the rain. So I'm going to have it go to my mom's house. I think I even had decks delivered at my place of employment. Like I have decks for all the time. At least 3 or 4 times a week, there's new decks coming. And now it's every 6 months? I don't know. That's just been my experience. Just because you have decks doesn't automatically make you a collector. So you might not really be a collector. You may just literally be a reader who happens to have a few decks. You're not even remotely moved to get any new decks. You've got your working decks, or maybe you're like, eventually I might need a new Oracle deck to go on my tarot, but it's all because I just want to do readings. So you might have 5 good decks in your little arsenal of tools. Myths surrounding deck collecting. Collecting decks is shallow and self-serving. We talked a little bit about that earlier with the materialistic, or that is simple. But I can understand the argument why someone would say it can be a little shallow, it can be quite self-serving, but we're also using these as our spiritual tools. Many of us, not my friends who are just solely collectors. It might be a little self-serving for them to turn a profit. But for many of us, these are our spiritual tools. These are our tools that we work with clients or do, readings for ourselves. And we are digging deep into our spirituality with them. So, yeah, I suppose you could say that's self-serving, but I think it's self-gratifying, it's self-nurturing. It's not just self if you're doing readings for other people or readings for the collective. It's not shallow. And I think sometimes people would kind of like poo-poo, especially for some reason, like tarot and oracle collectors, like I bet you nobody's sitting up here saying that folks who collect stamps is shallow or coins. Like, I don't know. And then I think this is the last one. Just because you're a collector doesn't mean you're always acquiring new decks. And we talked about that earlier, kind of a repeat. But I'm not always in the mood to get new decks. I'm at my full moon to waning phase. So it's like when one comes, it's probably damn special. Okay. All right. So we'll stop sharing for a moment. And yay, I left off where I was at. So I can see what you all are saying. I can't pick fave decks. That's why I can't. You know what? Thank you, Ange. Thank you for keeping it real because I feel the same way about tags. People ask me all the time, why don't you do a lot of tags? I did. I also did a few tags back in the day on my channel. But when it starts coming to questions like, oh, what's your top decks? Or what do you do this? Or like the pieces of your soul deck tag videos. I like watching other people's, but they're all pieces of my soul. And I don't want to be forced to choose. So I'm just not going to choose. And in truth, many of my working decks are the Oracle decks I made. And you guys are tired of hearing me talk about my old workhorse decks. So it's like, I can't. Let's see. Don't do 5 mil. Get the thinnest or okay. It's self-laminated. Okay, that's good to know. So for the laminated, so I'm gonna have to articulate this in Spanish, because there's a company in town that laminates the cards and things. Like I had my vaccine card laminated or whatever. So I'll have to figure out how to say that in Spanish. Yes, no, I don't want to do just 10 decks. Like I want to like talk about 20 of them, and then it's like it defeats the purpose of the whole tag video thing. Certain tags, I'm like, if it's not making me pick through decks or to choose decks, I can probably do okay. Yeah, don't make me choose. I think, see, we're all kind of like-minded on that. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I've always feel guilty, like I should be doing this tag, and I'm like, that would be glorious to pass your beautiful deck down to your daughter. I love that. I couldn't do just 10 forever either. I can't. Yeah, like it would literally have to be a tag for each year. Like it'd be like, okay, 2020 top 10. And I do something to that effect. At the end of my year of like, so December 2022, I'm going to do my annual top 10 indie decks I worked with, top 10 mass market I either bought or I worked with. I break them down in those kind of categories, but they might change from year to year. And I don't know. That's as much as y'all gonna get from like a top 10 like that. I did do a top 10 spring decks, and I'm going to do something for summer decks in the seasons because I realized that in my collection I do have some decks that can be utilized during certain seasons, but even that was hard to choose. Uh-oh. Let's see. Sounds like a good interview. Oh yes. Definitely subscribe. I'm looking forward to it. You guys have great content happening. I'm not the only one that ate the fish. Yes, right? Like, so at least we're in this all together. Now you guys will never look at your fish the same again. It's okay. Eat the fish. It's okay. Sometimes luxury is a nice treat. Hello. And who better than to like spoil than ourselves? And that circles back to the first myth we talked about. Oh, you must never buy your own decks. Psh, how else am I going to help myself feel great? No, half bougie. Yes, we are part bougie. And we can clean them nicely when we have to. Oh, goodness. Chefability is a must. That's why bougie isn't always best. That's right. So that is for me, like, if I want a working deck, I'm going to watch a few like flip throughs or seeing decks. And this is where I like to watch other people work with the decks now. If they're, doing readings, astrological readings or pick cards or whatever they're doing to do their readings. I want to see what decks they're using, and I want to see like, okay, how's it shuffling? Is it bending like I would want it to do? Is it how did I know this person doesn't work with jumpers. I work with jumpers, but did I see a card just fly out of the deck as they were shuffling? So I'm looking at it from that vantage point because I want working decks. I love linen cardstock the most. Easiest for riffle shuffling. Yes. Linen feels so good. Feels so good. All right, my friend. Thank you for joining. I so appreciate it. You gave me lots of chuckles. Gave us all chuckles today. Thank you. Whatever cardstock feels like an old school deck of bicycle playing cards is A-okay with me. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the bicycle playing cards, That was what I used back in the day before I was like gonna dive full on into like tarot and oracle, was playing cards. And that's where I learned the riddle shuffle and everything. So like color me shocked when I was like, oh my gosh, look at all this thick cardstock. Like I think when I got the Sacred Creators indie version by Chris Ann Donnelly, and her indie decks are really thick, I was like, I love this deck so much, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to use it. And so now I use the Sacred Creators Oracle, this one. Now I use this one, but mass market. And I use it all the time, mass market, but the indie one I keep because I really like it, the pretty matte gold edging. But I can't really use them. And I'm so glad that she actually has mass market because now I can use them. But the collector in me is still keeping the indie version. So there's that. I'm a California boy. I hard grew up in Santa Cruz. Oh my goodness. I spent many summer times in Santa Cruz. I grew up, born and raised in Oakland, California. And then we moved to Sacramento. But even after moving to Sacramento, it was like a family tradition since I was a little girl that we would go and spend a lot of time in Santa Cruz during the summers. And so I just love Santa Cruz. We went 2019, the year before the pandemic. I related to my husband's love of collecting CDs and records. Far less judgment for doing that. Exactly, Andy. Like, what is it about us collecting decks that makes it so materialistic? Like, okay, my dad, he collects guitars and instruments, and it can be expensive. Many of these things, I actually used to love collecting CDs and records. I don't anymore, but it's just like, oh, you mentioned that you're a deck collector, and it's just like you get either confused looks or you get these looks of like judgment. And I'm like, I don't understand neither. I don't understand how you don't know that we exist. And I don't understand like the judgment. The astrological science reading is way too much. Oh God, girl, it is a lot. I did it for a hot minute, and I would do the whole bit of, okay, I'm going to do career readings for all 12 signs. I'm going to do love readings for all 12 signs. And I'm going to do general readings for all 12 signs. Needless to say, I got burnt out probably like a few months after starting it. And I see people do it all the time, but it's just, that's not my ministry. I just don't feel called to do that. So I don't. I let it go. Different phases we are going through, personal journey. Absolutely, you all. I don't know which part you're saying wow to, but I feel like I've been saying craziness today. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I knew it was time to stop when I was getting 4 to 5 decks in one day. Yep. That's probably okay. Now I realize what you're talking about. Yeah, when the decks were coming and so, okay, if your family is the one kind of judging, maybe not strangers, because they don't know the magnitude of how many decks were coming to the house, but your family do, your significant other do. And if they start to be like, again? And where I started to feel like a little self-conscious, like there would be this part of me like, well, I'm making my own money and I could buy my own decks and I ain't tripping off of what you buy. And you buying all these tools that you never use. But then there was a part of me like, well, I don't want him seeing that I had like 4 deliveries today. So I started feeling this need to kind of hide the packages. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like there's something inherently for me personally wrong with that. So yeah. And it can be a huge, it's like self-investment if you're using your decks and journaling with them and doing readings for yourself and others, or maybe having, I keep, like this week, I have this card. Isn't she pretty? African Goddess Rising Oracle. So it says manifestation. That's the key word. So I keep them around on my reading table for inspiration and all of that good stuff. We're investing in ourselves, but also some of my decks are worth some money. Like I have to remind my kids from time to time, like, don't just throw these away, when I pass on. You better look them up and don't just go take them to Goodwill or something. You need to go online and you will be happily surprised with the little money you can fetch from my collection. I'm with you on that, Kim. I'm at that point. I'm very conscious about the decks I buy at this point. I will find something I really like to treat myself, and I'm well and good. Oh, thank you. I thought, I didn't know how you all were going to receive this topic, to be honest. I was like, here I go. They would probably be like, oh, here she go again, talking about deck collecting. But I don't know. I think it's just something for us to talk about. Hey, my friend. Hi, Amy. I know your handle. I'm dating myself. I know your username. Yes, better late than never. Thank you for joining another one of my Ko-fi members. Also, I believe people are allowed to do some things just for themselves. Exactly. And so if it's for us, collecting decks, well, then that's what it is. Like, I wish somebody would say something now. I have done the work. Okay. I have done the work. At least I'm not like I was back in the day collecting designer handbags that I never would wear. At least these babies, I feel like I'm using. Like I'm loving and I'm using them and they make me happy. They make me happy. What about the planner community? I have a planner and I'm kind of into planning, but not like I am into decks. But the planner community where they're getting all the fancy pins and the stickers and the washi tape. And they're spending big money too. So the stationery crowd, don't come over here knocking us when we're just, just trying to better ourselves. I just love to look at them, right? Just sometimes I just take them down and let me just look at this card. Let me just look at you today. And I get so much from that. Like some people, you all get it, but not everyone gets it. Like you just want to look at your cards. Yeah, actually, that's all I really want to do today. I just want to be in my jammies with my cup of coffee and looking at my cards today. That's what I want to do. Yes. And we are on a self journey. We are. Why is my... Hell yeah, it's cheaper than therapy. My little mouse is backing that. Totally cheaper than therapy. and more easier to get to, accessible. I'm not saying or, trying to, because I am a proponent of therapy, by the way. However, most of my therapy or needing for help can be found in spending time with myself and working with my cards and asking questions. And my cards can be a bit affronting. Like they don't always sugarcoat stuff. They kind of just let me know and let me know real rough and tough, and I just take it. But I I appreciate it. Yes, enjoy you and you enjoy your day. Thank you for being here. Yes, thank you for being here. Please, and thank you for hitting the like button. Hi, Silky Kugler. How are you? How are you doing? We're just sitting up here chatting about decks and deck collecting and back and hopping between lives. Ooh, you're a live hopper? I do that too. We won't be much longer though. We won't be much longer. I just wanted to chit chat with you all today about these here decks. Looking back 10 years back, I made an major ass transformation and it needs to be commended, right? When you are able to take, and that's why I love cards too, because it just, you could literally just sit and do a reading and then see the progression depicted in the cards. And you did make big trend. We've talked. You have made immense transformation and deserving of all the good in the world. You know what I'm saying? The bougie stationery crowd. Yes, I was like, girl, I have to pick a struggle. I cannot be both in the bougie stationery crowd and the bougie deck collecting crowd. Girl, you just gonna give you're gonna give all your money, all your money to paper and ink. Just stop it. Don't come over here knocking us, you stationary junkie. Yeah, you just stay right over there. Oh my God. Oh, you guys, this was so much fun. Pick a struggle, right? Gotta pick a struggle. It's for me, it's gonna be Dex. That's what it is. So yeah, I'm not gonna take up too much of y'all's time. I will be posting this little live to the course. I like to add videos as I start to do videos for each of the lessons. There's 10 lessons in choosing your next deck, curating your collection over at abundantlifetarot.com. What do I can talk? Abundant Life Tarot Academy tab, and then you'll see the course. And I will remember to add those spreads because I keep promising Jonathan that. But what I will say is this. I will be adding this to lesson 6. Next lesson we're going to be doing in discussing, like we're doing today, how is deck non-negotiables. I don't think we've talked about that yet. What are some of the non-negotiables for your decks? It can be non-negotiables that you like. If this deck has this, it's a non-negotiable. I'm never buying it. Or it could be a non-negotiable, like it must have this quality. It must have this attribute. So that'll be our next like deck discussion topic, which probably won't be until sometime next month. But keep a lookout for that. Keep a lookout for that. And yeah, that's about it, you guys. That's all. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It was so much fun spending time with each of you. I enjoyed this so much. Oh my goodness, I enjoyed this. And yeah, we got to pick a struggle. Girl, you need to pick a struggle. Oh yes. Thank you all so much for being here. It was so much fun. I'm off to, guys, already 4:11 here p.m. I'm gonna go figure out dinner soon. Oh, yay. I'm glad you are signed up. So yeah, take the course. We're going to continue on with these lessons because guess what? Before I let you guys go, the last discussion that we're going to do is the capstone of choosing your next deck, curating your collection. It is the composing or building our deck philosophies. Like, what is your deck collecting philosophy? And I have I got a tarot spread for that. So we'll do the spread together and then we're going to come back again and talk about what is our deck collecting philosophy. Obviously, it's going to change over time. I'm going to do this with you all because I have my deck collecting philosophy back from 2020 when I created the course. And I'm sure it's evolved since then. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. So love you guys. Thank you so much. Naomi, I'm so happy you made it today. Thank you. And yeah, if you guys are watching the replay, please hit the like button and please leave me a comment. Give me some of your thoughts. What moon phase of your deck collecting journey are you in? What are some myths we missed that we didn't talk about? What are some thoughts? And don't be afraid to eat the fish. Love you guys. Bye. I'll see y'all later.